So for this one, let's try the if in doubt, expand it out method and see how far it takes us. I will say for these, I think fractions are probably our friends. So 0.02, what is that? 2/100ths or 1/50th. So, okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, so let's plug 1 in. What do we get? -1. Plug 2 in, we get 1/4. Plug 3 in, we get -1/9. Plug 4 in, we get 1/16. That was 7 squared. 8 squared is 64. Okay. Actually, I should say minus ... Okay, I'm gonna move this over. All right, my friends. Okay, so now let's look at this. So you need your first neglected term to be either 1/50th or bigger. So I hope it makes sense that you would need to go all the way out to 1/49, and 1/64 could be your first neglected term. So you're looking basically to either meet 1/50th or pass it. Hopefully that makes sense. So in that sense, then we would just need to add up those terms. So we could say it's approximately, and then, figure out a way to calculate that. I'm just going to go old school here. Actually, I'm not even going to add it up. So I'm just going to say, because usually they either don't give you very many terms. Whoops. They either don't give you very many terms, or they just ask you how many terms do you need. And so I'm just going to say we'd need to go all the way up to the 7th term there. There we go. That's my approximation right there. There you go. And if you figured out what that equals, then awesome. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Now let's talk about, though, sometimes you might have a problem where expanding it out is actually not ideal, in which case you might need to use some algebra to figure it out. So let's show. Usually if in doubt, expand it out works, but let's say expanding it out is not making it obvious. What you could do is you could just take the absolute value of the way the terms are defined, which would be 1/n squared. And basically you're looking for when that would be greater than or equal to 1/50th. I hope that makes sense. And so I don't like inequalities in, degree 2 doesn't always get along, but so what I would maybe do is figure out when it's equal and then go back and kind of logic it out. So, cross products, you're looking for n squared to be 50. And then you could always square root both sides. I'm just going to, do. And so you basically, a little bigger than 7, right? So I'm just going to say 7.1 or something. And so now if you're looking for 1/n squared to be actually greater than or equal to 1/50, then you could play around with, which side of 7 do you need to be on, right, to make that happen. So, or 7.1 that is. So would 7 work? No. Would 8 work? Yes, and so you could find out that n would have to be 8. So anyway, but you'd have to keep in mind, though, that this would be the number of your first neglected term. So therefore, your first neglected term is a sub 8, which would be, anyway, so then you'd need to use, that would mean that you'd need to do a 7th partial sum, which would lead you to what we figured out with if in doubt, expand it out as well. There you go. All right, my friends, that is finally the end of section 8.5. That section just would not die. But anyway, it's important stuff. They'll be testing this through in your AP exam, so you'll be glad we talked about it. So get your practice, and then we'll move on to section 8.6. Take care, everybody.